later, me and my girlfriend start getting into this weird cult Pokemon phrase. Like all of a sudden it's cool to play a red version again in high school. Well, we had DS's, and we were willing to take it up a notch. So initially, I hated the idea of having 500 Pokemon to play with, but to be honest, I've kind of grown up to love them. So we were addicted to Pokemon, and now that we've started the gateway drug, we had to move to a newer, more powerful drug. That's right, the trading card game. So of course, we both start by picking up a starter deck. Inside is most of the same crap as before, and this time we've got the Advanced Rulebook Plus Super Version 104. It was daunting, but after reading through the rulebook, I found out something crazy. 10 years later, and Pokemon is played nearly the same frickin' way as it used to be. The only new gimmicks are these super trainers called supporters that you can only play once a turn, and these super Pokemon called level X cards that are basically an extra evolution to your Pokemon. But after looking at the cards, some crazy crap had gone down. Well, for starters, the Pokemon of today are frickin' jacked. I know it's a game for kids, but the cards of today have all participated heavily in the use of steroids. Look at this nonsense. Remember I was impressed by 3 for 50 with Kadabra? Well, Empoleon's doing 3 for 70 with bonus damage, and Infernape is doing 2 for 90 with a discard. Look at the HP on these mothers. Torterra X has 160 HP. I thought anything over 120 was an impossibility. And I thought, oh man, the theme decks are in business now. But not really. While all the Pokemon are super buff, all the trainers got hyper downpowered. Look at Mom's Kindness. It's the exact same text as Bill, except now it's a supporter, so you can only play it once a turn. Back in the day, you could play 4 Bills to draw 8 cards in a turn. And don't even get me started about Professor Oak. If you played 4 Oaks and 4 Bills in a turn, you're drawing 36 cards out of your 60 card deck. And after prizes and drawing, you only got 47 cards to draw. So in theory, the whole game has slowed down now. And I liked that idea. Truth be told, it's not slower at all. But I'll talk about that another day. But the fact stands, the trainers in these new starter decks were weak. So let's look at the first starter deck I picked up, Infinite Space. You're still getting a buttload of energy. Nowadays, I know maybe 1 or 2 decks that run competitively that have more than 15 energy in them. The 2009 World Winning deck only ran 6. So there's a little bit of improvement with the Pokemon lines, but it's still a mess. Why are there 4 Buizel with no Floatzel? 2 Krabby but no Kingler? What am I gonna do with these weaklings? And there's always a pyramid emphasis in these structure decks that really confuses kids, and myself, as to what a good line is. Here you got 4 Whismur, 2 Loudred, 1 Exploud. What a great structure, right? Well, in practice, this'll always be terrible. Only after a while did I learn that using a 4-3-4 line or something similar is the way to go. Well, you got 11 trainers now, but almost all of them suck. Except maybe Felicity's Drawing and Moonlight Stadium, which are still for situational decks. At least back in the day I got Computer Search, Oak, Gust of Wind, Build, and Switch. All really playable cards. Palkia is just like Mewtwo back in the day. He's a sparkly legendary, but dang does he suck. 3 for 40? I wasn't a pro yet, but even then I knew an attack like that was bad news. So what's the huge difference? I'm getting 3 rares instead of 2. Woo! But the overall playability of the cards, compared to the old age, is a lot lower. You're also getting these cheap paper damage counters instead of the awesome marble ones. But I guess they've been doing that since 2000, when the Gym Challenge theme decks came out. At least you get a plastic one instead of a paper one, but forget all that. If you're really gonna play the game, invest in a bunch of tiny dice. 1 to 6 on the die saves the space of 6 damage counters. Rolling instead of flipping, with evens as heads and odds as tails, saves you all the torture of a bad coin flipper. One thing I do like about these structure decks is they give you a nifty playmat with all the spots you would use in a normal play area. Plus, they give you a nifty order of a turn column and special conditions rules on the side of the mat. It's a great resource to start the game. But why do they have to suck so much? In Japan, starter decks come with up to 2 level X cards and some really solid lines. Why did the Japanese get such a pampered treatment? Are they bragging to the US because they invented the game? Well, Japan is the only country that plays under a separate company than the Pokemon USA branch, and it's an entirely different atmosphere. In Japan, you don't have to hide your cards because tons of people play. It's a game to them, and collecting normally makes your average Japanese player laugh. If you want to be a pro player in Japan, all the best cards come dirt cheap. Here in the US, Pokemon's a situational game. Tons of kids still collect, and the older players are usually super competitive, but it's just not as popular as it is in Japan. I can't blame Pokemon USA for not giving us the best cards cheap, because I know making the most money means the game will prosper the longest. But sometimes, you just gotta be jealous of those Japanese decks. So, over the past decade, the starter deck never had what it took to make you a pro. In fact, if you're trying to learn how to play off the starter decks alone, you'll be conditioned the wrong way. You'll end up thinking decks have 2 to 3 sporadic types, pyramid lines, and like 25 plus energy. And all of that is nonsense. However, if you don't know squat about the game and want to dip your feet into the Pokemon experience, I wouldn't recommend starting any other way. 2 good starter decks that I recommend today are Raging Sea and Cutting Edge. Raging Sea has some terrible trainers, but you get Gyarados, a great card for a popular new deck today. Cutting Edge might be the best structure deck ever made. It comes with Flygon, part of what's arguably the best deck today, as well as a handful of solid supporters. So, hopefully you got some fun history and insight into starting the game as starter decks. But if structure decks won't make you a pro, what will? Tune in next Sunday for the next Game States episode. How to get good, leagues, sites, and other resources to the common player. And for those of you who are already way into the game and bored as heck with this introductory stuff, tune in each Thursday for my deck analysis segment. Next Thursday, November 12th, I'll be doing Gyarados. And thanks to you for coming to the first show of profit, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe. As much as they sucked, those old Zap decks are collectible items now. They sell up to $50 some places. Too bad I didn't hold on to them. I could have made a profit. I'm so funny!